Subscribe and give a like to Tomorrow's Intelligence podcast.
You know, we all love AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, streaming recommendations that are like spot on, maps that just magically know the best route.
Right.
Even those smart assistants, that'll answer just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever stopped to think about how much AI really knows out you?
Oh, yeah.
To make all that happen?
For sure.
It's like we're making this trade, right? A little piece of our privacy for a whole lot of convenience.
Totally.
But are we really getting a good deal?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
That's what we're going to explore in this deep dive into this whole AI and privacy thing.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, me too.
And it's something that a lot of people don't really think about.
No, they don't.
Until it's too late.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that classic case of the privacy paradox.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
It's not really about hypocrisy, as some might say.
Right.
It's more like this, inner conflict between our desire to control information and then this allure of convenience.
Right.
Like, who doesn't love convenience?
Well,
it's almost like choosing a dessert.
Ooh.
Like, this is good.
That, is delicious, but it's not that healthy.
Yeah.
We know it's not good for us long term.
Right.
But it's so hard to resist.
That instant gratification.
That's exactly it.
I love that analogy.
Thanks.
So to kind of guide us through this whole thing,
okay,
we're going to use an episode of the Tomorrow's Intelligence podcast.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's really great.
They have some good stuff.
Yeah, and they had this round table of experts.
Okay.
Data privacy specialists, digital rights advocates, even a cybersecurity expert.
Wow.
All kind of weighing in on this very topic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and one of the first things that really struck me was just the sheer volume of data collection.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was happening.
Right. But then when you hear the experts break it down.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's overwhelming almost.
Yeah, it's pretty unsettling.
Huh.
Like almost everything we do online is being tracked and recorded and analyzed.
It's like AI is this detective, building a case.
I like that.
And all those little clues, those data points, it gathers all of that to better understand you, your habits, what you desire, even your vulnerabilities.
That's a little scary.
It is a little scary.
I mean, every website you visit, every purchase,
Everything.
It all goes into building this detailed profile.
It's remarkable.
Of who you are.
And even things like fitness apps, right?
Yeah, they talked about that.
Sharing your data with advertisers, even insurance companies.
It makes you wonder if anything's truly private anymore.
That's the big question.
I know, it really is.
And that brings up, data ownership.
Okay.
We tend to think, our data is just with the big guys.
Like Google, Facebook.
Right, all the big tech giants.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually way more complicated than that.
Really?
There's this whole ecosystem of third-party companies buying and selling and sharing our data.
Oh, wow.
It's like this tangled web.
And it's almost impossible to trace where it all ends up.
You got it.
So it's not just one company knowing everything about you.
Right.
It's potentially dozens, maybe even hundreds.
That's the scary part.
That is really scary.
And that raises some big questions.
About?
Transparency and control.
Oh, for sure.
Think about your favorite apps.
Okay.
The ones you use every day.
Yeah.
How many companies might be accessing your data?
Right.
Without you even realizing it?
Yeah. That's a thought that keeps me up at night.
Me too.
And it gets even more unsettling when you start talking about biometrics.
Oh, yeah.
Things like facial recognition, fingerprints, voice analysis.
This is like the most personal and sensitive data.
You think so?
Yeah.
That AI collects?
It's being used for everything.
I know, it's crazy.
Unlocking our devices, verifying payments.
Even tracking individuals in public spaces.
That's wild.
It is pretty convenient, though.
It is.
But isn't it crossing a line?
Well, yeah, that's the question.
I mean, if your face or fingerprint data is hacked...
Right.
You can't exactly change it like a password.
You can't. That's the danger.
Oh, wow.
Biometric data is unique.
Okay.
And immutable.
Immutable.
Yeah, you can't just reset it like a password.
Right.
If it's compromised.
So where do we draw the line then?
Yeah, that's the fundamental question, right?
Between safety and surveillance.
Exactly.
How much of our personal information are we willing to sacrifice in the name of convenience?
Or security.
Right, because it's always one or the other.
It seems like it.
It's a question everyone needs to ask themselves.
For sure.
And it leads us to another crucial point.
What's that?
A lot of these quote-unquote free services, we rely on social media, search engines, email.
Right.
They're not truly free, are they?
Well, no, they're not.
We're paying with our data.
That's right.
That's the currency.
The business model of companies like Google and Facebook.
Yeah.
It's built around data collection.
The more they know about us,
the better they can target us with ads.
And increase their revenue.
Exactly.
So we're essentially making a trade-off, convenience for privacy.
That's it.
But are we getting a fair deal?
That's the heart of the privacy paradox.
Okay.
We want privacy, but we're lured in by convenience.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
We click agree.
On those long terms and conditions.
Without really understanding what we're signing away.
It's true.
And companies know that.
Yeah.
They make it as easy as possible for us to give up our data.
Right, like those privacy settings are buried.
Oh yeah, deep within their apps.
So the question is, what can we do about it?
That's what we're going to talk about next.
Awesome, I'm ready.
Me too. So welcome back
to our deep dive into AI and your privacy.
Oh, we've barely scratched the surface.
I know, right? Of this really complex topic.
But we wanted to really kind of lay the groundwork.
Right.
And now we're going to kind of take a closer look at some of the specific ways AI is being used to gather and analyze our data.
Sound good.
And one of the things that really stood out to me in that Tomorrow's Intelligence episode was how they highlighted the potential risks of facial recognition technology.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's a big one, right?
It's a great example of how AI can be both incredibly powerful, but also potentially invasive.
Yeah, like on the one hand, it's so convenient.
Super convenient.
You know, unlocking our phones.
Right.
Security systems in stores and airports.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And even law enforcement uses it now.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
To identify suspects.
Right.
In criminal investigations.
But that's where things get a little murky.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the cybersecurity expert on the podcast brought up this really important point.
What was that?
That biometric data, like facial scans, is unique and you can't change it.
It's like a password.
Right. You can't just reset it if it gets compromised.
Exactly.
So once your facial data is in a database,
it's out there.
It's out there.
Potentially forever.
And who knows how it might be used in the future.
That's the scary part.
Right. Like, what if it's used for things that you never consented to?
Like, imagine a world where your every move is tracked by facial recognition cameras. And your identity can be determined just by walking down the street.
It's like something out of a dystopian sci-fi movie.
I know, right?
But it's becoming more and more real.
It is.
And the podcast even mentioned that China is already using facial recognition
extensively
for surveillance and social control.
It's a slippery slope.
It is, right?
You start using it for security.
Yeah.
But where do we draw the line?
That's the question.
At what point does it become mass surveillance?
Right. So if facial recognition is becoming so widespread, what can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, one option is to try to opt out of systems that use facial recognition whenever possible.
But that's not always easy.
Not always.
Or practical, especially now.
Right. It seems like it's being integrated into more and more aspects of our lives.
It's true.
Which is why I think it's so important to support legislation that regulates the use of facial recognition technology.
Absolutely.
Like some cities and states have already banned it or at least restricted its use.
Yeah, by law enforcement.
But we need stronger protections.
At a national level, for sure.
And even at an international level.
Ideally.
So individual action combined with pushing for better regulations.
I think that's key.
It seems to be a recurring theme in this whole discussion.
It is, because technology moves fast. And the law often struggles to keep up.
That's for sure.
Okay, so we talked about facial recognition. Yeah, the potential dangers.
Right.
What about social media?
Oh, that's another big one.
I mean, we all use it
constantly.
We connect with friends and family, share news and information.
Right.
But the podcast also highlighted how social media companies collect massive amounts of data about us.
Oh, they're data gathering machines.
Really?
They're designed to keep us engaged.
To
keep us scrolling.
So the more we use them,
the more data they collect.
And that data is then used.
To target us with ads.
And those ads are often eerily accurate.
It's like they know us better than we know ourselves.
It's true.
Well, that's the power of AI. It can analyze vast amounts of data. And identify patterns.
That we might not even be aware of.
Exactly.
And it can be used to influence our opinions.
And our behavior.
In very subtle ways.
It's a little creepy.
It is.
When you think about it, it makes you wonder if we're really in control of our own choices or if we're being manipulated.
By these algorithms.
You know the Cambridge Analytica scandal?
Oh, yeah, a few years back.
That was a wake-up call.
About
how social media data can be used to target individuals with personalized political ads and influence elections.
So it's not just about annoying ads.
Right.
It's about the potential for this data to be used
in ways
that can have real-world consequences.
That's right.
So what can we do about it?
Well, we need to be mindful of what we share online and adjust our privacy settings to limit the amount of data that these companies collect.
So it's about taking back some control.
It is.
But is that even possible?
It's tough.
In a world where social media is so ingrained.
Yeah, in our lives.
It's a challenge for sure.
It is.
But you're saying it's not impossible.
I think there are things we can do.
Like?
We can choose to opt out. Targeted advertising. We can limit the information.
Shared with third-party apps.
Exactly.
And be more aware of it.
Those filter bubbles.
Filter bubbles.
Yeah.
What are those?
So social media algorithms, they're designed to show us content
that we're likely to engage with.
Exactly.
But that can create these echo chambers.
Where we only see viewpoints.
Align with our own.
Yeah, and we're not challenged
to think critically
or consider other perspectives.
Do we end up in these little online bubbles
where everyone agrees with us?
And that can't be good for society as a whole.
It's polarizing.
It is.
So we have to actively seek out different perspectives and challenge our own assumptions.
So be more proactive in shaping our online experience.
Rather than just passively consuming
whatever the algorithms feed us.
You got it.
That's a good point.
And speaking of shaping our online experience, let's talk about the Internet of Things.
The IoT.
Or IoT for short.
Right.
All those devices connected to the Internet. Smart home appliances, wearable fitness trackers.
And rare cars.
It's crazy.
It is.
And they collect so much data.
About our daily lives.
Everything.
From our sleep patterns.
To our energy consumption.
To our location.
It's wild.
I mean, I know it can be incredibly convenient.
It's super convenient.
You can adjust your thermostat from your phone.
Right.
Track your fitness goals.
Start your car remotely.
But it also means
that these devices are constantly gathering information.
About us.
And that raises privacy concerns.
For sure.
A lot of these devices are poorly secured. Which means they could be hacked.
Oh, no.
If someone gets access to your smart home system, they could control everything.
That's scary.
Your lights, your thermostat, even your security cameras.
It's like inviting a stranger into your home.
And giving them full control.
Sends chills down my spine.
I know.
So what can we do?
Choose devices from reputable manufacturers. That prioritize security. And change those default passwords.
Right.
And keep your software up to date.
So it's not just about convenience.
Right.
It's about being aware of those security risks.
And taking steps to protect yourself.
And also being mindful
of the data that your devices are collecting.
So you can disable features
that you don't need. And you can limit the information.
That's shared with third-party apps.
Exactly.
So it's all about making informed choices.
Right.
And taking control of our digital lives.
But it can feel overwhelming.
It can, especially with new technology.
Emerging all the time.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It is.
But the more we understand
how these technologies work
and how our data is being used,
the better equipped we are
to protect our privacy.
That's what it comes down to.
So it all comes back to that privacy paradox that we've been talking about.
We want convenience.
But we also want to protect our privacy.
So finding that balance is key.
That's what we're going to explore
in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, so we've spent the last two parts really kind of going deep into how AI is collecting and using all our data.
It's a lot.
It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
Definitely unsettling.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think now's the time to talk about solutions.
Yes, please, because honestly, I feel a little powerless.
It's understandable.
When you think about these massive tech companies and their algorithms.
It can feel overwhelming.
What can we actually do?
Well, you know what they say, knowledge is power.
True.
The more we understand about how our data is being used, the better we are at protecting ourselves.
Okay, so that's a good first step.
And there are things we can do.
Really?
To take back some control.
I like the sound of that.
So I think one of the first things is we need to kind of shift our mindset a little.
In what way?
We've gotten so used to free stuff.
Yeah, all those free services.
We forget that our data is often the price we pay.
Right. It's like that saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. It's so true.
So we need to start valuing our data more.
Okay.
think twice before signing up for things.
Right.
Read those privacy policies.
Ugh, I know they're so long.
I know they're boring.
And confusing.
But you got to force yourself.
Okay.
And then adjust your privacy settings.
To limit what you're sharing.
You got it.
So just being more conscious, basically.
More conscious choices.
And not just clicking agree without thinking.
Exactly.
And there's another thing that I think is super interesting.
What's that?
We can actually use AI to protect our privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's like fighting fire with fire.
I like it.
There are these privacy-enhancing technologies that use AI to kind of like anonymize your data.
Okay.
Detect breaches and even negotiate better data sharing agreements.
For us?
For you, yeah, on your behalf.
So it's like having a digital bodyguard.
Kinda, yeah.
Working behind the scenes to protect your data.
I like that analogy.
And those are becoming more sophisticated all the time.
They're getting better.
That's really encouraging.
It is.
So we need more innovation in this space.
We definitely do. But technology alone isn't enough.
Right.
We also need regulations that give individuals more control over their data.
Like GDPR.
Yeah, GDPR in Europe was a step in the right direction.
But not perfect.
No.
Not a silver bullet.
And even with good laws,
right,
enforcement is always a challenge.
It is, because companies are always going to try to find loopholes.
That's why public awareness is so important.
So crucial. Yeah.
And activism.
Keep the pressure on lawmakers.
To enact strong privacy laws.
And enforce them.
And that's where you, the listener, come in.
That's right.
So what can we do?
Support organizations that are fighting for digital rights.
Okay.
Contact your elected officials.
Yeah.
Make some noise about these issues.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Exactly. The more public pressure, the more likely
that companies and governments will take this seriously.
They will.
So it's not just about what we do individually.
Right.
It's about collective action, too.
Yeah.
We need to use our voices.
To demand better privacy protection.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of your choices as a consumer.
Oh, like what?
Support companies that prioritize privacy.
Okay.
Choose ethical alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Vote with your wallet.
Every little bit helps.
Every action sends a message.
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
That's right.
Individual awareness.
Technological innovation.
Collective action.
We need it all.
We do.
And that's what makes me hopeful.
Okay, good.
We have the tools.
You have the knowledge.
We have the power.
To shape a future.
Where AI works for us.
Not against us.
That's the goal.
I love that.
So to wrap up this whole deep dive,
what's
the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the big thing is that the future of AI is not set in stone.
It's a story that we're all writing together.
Oh, I like that.
The choices we make today,
both big and small,
will
determine what that future looks like.
So choose wisely, be informed.
And never stop questioning. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been really enlightening.
It has.
And to our listeners out there,
we hope this has empowered you.
To take control of your digital lives.
Make informed choices about your data.
Stay curious. Stay engaged.
And keep exploring.
The fascinating world of AI.